A core piece of fundamental knowledge to know for AI is that of the context window. In short, a context window is AI's short-term memory. Short-term memory. And this is a great analogy as we keep going on and how it affects AI. So this short-term memory, this context window, think of what is the normal things you would think of if you put in text. So if you type in text and you just say, hey, tell me about this, and then anything you put into that, the tokens, if you haven't learned about tokens yet, there's a video on it. Tokens go into the context window. But the thing to understand about a context window, it has a finite size. Different models, as they advance, have different size context windows, and that's measured in thousands of tokens. How many thousands of tokens can it handle? Some other examples that maybe are a little less obvious of what actually consumes your contention window. The first is previous messages. So I've got accounts at most every major LLM. So when I type something in, I could say, hey, tell me about this. And it's going to say, oh, well, this is a really important aspect, especially since you own a missile silo or something like that. And I'm like, it would creep me out to start with, but it actually is caching it. It's not in the model, so it didn't train on that. The model, the ChatGPT 4 or 5, whatever we're on right now, that model does not contain information about me. But the cached information in my browser or in my account for my LLM, it knows that. So previous messages, it actually takes that information and will insert it into the context window. Why? To be better at what it does. So if I just ask it for, like if I just say, what is a token? It may respond and say, oh, it's something you could use at an arcade or a laundromat. But since it knows that I work a lot with AI, it's going to actually give me the definition for an AI token. Very different based on previous messages. But when it has to pull those previous messages in, that does affect the size of how much is going into that context window. So it's not just the text that goes in. Also, things like web searches, documents, and images also go into the context window. So if I say, tell me everything about this country, and it wants to pull information from the web to get modern events, as an example, that all goes into the context window, pulling that information in. So that's a really important thing. So context window sizing. So what can happen if a context window is too big? So if it has too much information in it, no different than your short-term memory, that if you're given 10 numbers to remember, you'll probably do a good job of it. If I keep adding numbers for you to remember, what's going to happen? Let's say we're doing this right now and you've got 10 numbers memorized, you're doing okay, and maybe your significant other walks in the room and says, hey, where did I put the laundry detergent? Your brain is not going to be able to process both at the same time. That actually happens to an LLM also. If it's too much, if the context window is too full, it does not equal good results. So when smart engineers like at Cribl, when they're designing something for how to use AI inside of it, they have to understand what is happening within that context window. Are we overloading it? Because the AI will actually start to make poorer and poorer decisions based on how full that context window is. So context window is just a size measured in thousands of tokens. It's short-term memory. Anything that you're doing inside of it, you input anything from here, any text, that all contributes to how full that context window is. It can make it work really well, but if it gets too full, you're going to have some problems.